Catch on the rebound. We have Adrianne Ross in the building. Make sure I do this right. There we go. Thank you for coming through, stopping by. I really appreciate you being here.
Yes, it feels good to be here. I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to just talking and vibing out. I've been keeping up a little bit, so this just seems like a right time, and it's an awesome experience. So I'm ready to do this.
Yeah. Hobbs, New Mexico.
Yeah, you don't hear that often, but when you do, like, it's so random. Small town,
Yeah.
you know, but we're out there. Like I've been all over the world, and if I wear a Hobbs shirt, I know somebody from, it may be a different town in New Mexico, but
Okay.
that's definitely like my roots.
Yeah, there's a lot of pride.
Sure. Yeah, it does.
From
It does, for sure.
Do you still go back home?
I do. I just recently moved. Like, I was always gone.
Okay.
I've been gone since 2003, like when I was going to TCU, and then when I was playing abroad, I would still spend my summers back there.
Okay.
Then the last year, I lived there for an entire year, you know, so I was home,
Yeah.
I'm connected. I'll go back for Christmas, see the family and stuff, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So, from Hobbs, you went to TCU. What made you go to TCU?
I did. Coming out of Hobbs, it's a small town, but you don't really know that when that's all you know. You know, I grew up there, born and raised.
Okay.
Me and my brother, you know, we'll get to that. I was playing basketball, and I didn't really know the magnitude, like, of my talent. I just knew, like, I was good, you know, and it seemed elite, but I didn't know on a national scale. Yeah. And I was getting a lot of college letters, and coming out of high school, I was the third point guard in the nation. I was like, okay, that's awesome, but you still don't really know, yeah. And so when I was getting recruited by all of these schools, I was like, I always wanted to go to somewhere in Texas, you know, somewhere close. I was very, very family oriented, you know, and TC was 5 hours away. But
why not Tech?
You know what? And my brother was at Texas Tech, so I'm like, And, you know, and I was his younger sister. I'd already been in his shadow and this and that.
I understand that.
Yeah, looking back now, I'm like, that would have been really, really cool experience. But where I was at the time, I'm happy I went to TCU.
Okay.
It's odd that I did go there because it was like I just had a connection and a bond with them. But they weren't even really like in the top five, you know. But I went on my visit and I was like, they knew every candy that I liked.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, easy, yeah. But they still, like, they sold the family atmosphere, you know, tight-knit community. At the time I went, it was less than 8,000 students, yet it was still doing, like, large, big things like I'm used to, you know, community, you know, but also doing big things. And we were on the brink of being, like, a really successful team. And I got to play, you know, we got ranked as high as, like, top 15. And, you know, went to NCAA tournament a lot, broke some records.
Three
so
times?
It was a good decision.
3 times?
4.
Woo! 4, excuse me.
Did it right. No,
4.
It was cool. It was cool. For more reasons than basketball, too. You know, like, I'm still very close with them. Still practice with the girls. If I need something, you know, they're right there. So I made the right decision.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was your favorite experience in the tournament?
It was really cool. And it's crazy that my favorite experience, I tore my ACL one year. Yeah, and it you know, and it was hard. You know, that's when we were going to be our best, you know, coming out. I was playing with Sandora Irvin, Michael Irvin's niece. She went number 3 in the draft pick. Yeah, and we were like a dynamic duo, and it was my sophomore year, and I got hurt, but we had still went on the tournament. But I was still a part of it, you know, and I was able to step off the court, but also watch in, and I grew a lot that year. And then we also had, like, my brother playing in the tournament, so I was still getting a lot of interviews, and it was just – like, to see it all to be there and not play and stuff like that. Obviously, we want to play, but just to see, like, them asking these questions, watch them, hey, how do you feel? You know, and it all rooted back to they were asking a lot of questions like, you know, your mother, single parent, has 2 kids playing in the tournament, and that's when I realized, like, what I'm doing. And then my work ethic, it just changed big time. Like, I was like, okay, I got to get it back. Like, people are watching. I'm doing something, you know. Sometimes when you get caught up and you're doing it, you don't really realize the effect. And so that year, it changed me a lot. And so I think that would be the year that I enjoyed it the most because I grew.
So you and your brother were in the tournament at the same time?
We were. It was cool. And I didn't realize how cool. Yeah, it was really cool. Like, even in high school, you know, we were both, like, I was a sophomore, he was a senior, but we're both leading the state in scoring, you know, and all these things. And it doesn't seem so vague, you know, but then when you get, like, when God pulls you back, you know, and
you get a chance
and I see it, and then I started seeing things differently since then. So that was probably my favorite year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your brother and the type of influence that he had on you. I never had a chance to meet him.
Oh,
but
man,
they always talked about him. They said he, like, picked up 94 feet
Yeah.
And he played, obviously we know he played with Bobby Knight, but I never got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, you definitely have to meet him. He was always, every time I had to fill out college questionnaires, like, who's your role model, and I never had to look too far.
Okay.
And it's, he just had an incredible work ethic. Our recruiting processes were different, coming out for him. He had some offers, but they just weren't to the magnitude. We're in New Mexico, so you can be elite in New Mexico
it's
and be
hard.
Nobody, in Texas or so, so we didn't really have he didn't really have the politics behind him. And so he walked on at Texas Tech, and so that was like,
did he?
Yeah, he walked on at Texas Tech, and he was one of those guys that just worked. I think played 2 minutes, 3 minutes his freshman year, but never stopped working. One of those people that the janitor's turning off the light and is like, hey, stay in. He's shooting in the dark, and even now, Bobby Knight talks so highly about him, how he just made so much out of the little bit that he had, and he walked when he left Texas Tech. He was a first-team All-American.
Wow.
So that's a testament of who he is. Just keeps working. And yeah, for sure. And he always made sure that we were working. Like, I was like, why are you so hard on me? Because sometimes it looked as if it came easier, and it did. But I didn't, so having someone like that, but having someone like that pushed me to work for it and kept my mind open and just, like always had expectations higher for me, than I have for myself, and then that'd be my brother, So it was awesome. That's kind of who he is and how he is.
That's cool. What is he doing now?
He's actually at Texas Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was there.
He was.
Yeah, he retired last year after 13 years, overseas and stuff, and he was at Tech on the coaching staff, and so last year I got to follow the tournament. Shout out to you, Red Raiders. Yeah, I was even wearing my Texas Tech shirt. Yeah, so I got to go and experience that in Minneapolis and just see him.
Went?
I did, and it was full circle. Full circle. Like, I'm like, man, like I remember I used to love Texas Tech. I was a huge Tech fan. Marsha Sharp came. She recruited me tough and everything.
Marsha Sharp.
Yeah.
The Marsha Sharp.
Sitting on my couch, just like, come here. But it was different. Wow. It didn't, like, even though I was like I look back now and I'm just, man, it was incredible, but it wasn't the place for me. It's a feeling. We always know the feeling. Sometimes we ignore it, but I was like, from a young age, like I was like, it's not the school for me, and so.
That's cool.
But so so I have tight knits with them. It's like all love when it comes to Texas Tech, and
So Coach Beard, when they recruited me, Coach Beard was on staff with Pat Knight, Bobby Knight's son. Okay. First day I got on campus, they got fired.
Wow.
That just blew my mind. Like,
wow, yeah.
Is this what it's like?
Yeah.
So Coach Beard took like me and Todrick Gocher to the little pancake spot. I can't remember what it's called. And he was like, man, like this is what it's like. I'm sorry it happened like this, but if I can help you guys in any way. But it just blew my mind that like 5 years later, he's the head coach. Yeah. And they go to the national championship.
Isn't it? Yeah, and that's so for you.
They don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Like nobody talks about it.
No one knows that part. Yeah. And that's what makes me respect it even more, because not everyone knows that. Yeah. But like when you literally get it out the mud, it's just another thing. And even for your experience, because I hear so many things. We're around athletes, so it's like, I'm going to this school, and then you get there, the coaching staff changes, and for him to just take you out, bring you in, and make you feel like his. And he did that with Ronald as well.
Did he?
And he does that. From what I hear, he does that with a lot of his guys. He takes care of them, and it's probably why he's coach of the year. So to hear him or hear you say that he'd done it for you as well, like, pretty dope. Yeah. That's dope. Good experience. Yeah.
What was your experience overseas?
Man,
boy, you gotta tell us where all you've been.
Yeah, it was a ride. It was really a ride, and like and you can attest to a lot of these things too. We all can. That's
I've been to Italy and France.
That's enough to join the episode of Life Overseas. But it's great.
Take one time.
Like, it just takes one month, one game or whatever. Like my first year, I went a few months to Vienna, Austria, and before overseas, I went and I played in the WNBA for San Antonio Silver Stars. And that alone was just, an incredible experience. Okay. I was playing with some of the, I was behind Becky Hammond, I'm sitting next to Vicki Johnson, Ruth Raleigh, all these incredible vets, that are still just doing crazy things right now and just pioneers for the women, Now they're coaching on the men's side, where, a lot of them are. And so to have mentors like that at a young age before I even got my professional career started was already like a cheat code, And so I went to Vienna, Austria. Not a great league, but a great team. Yeah, I played, and I was like, just go get my stuff out there. And then I ended up going to Poland
Okay.
I've played 4 different years in Poland. I actually picked up on not picked up. I went to school for the language.
Do you speak Polish?
I speak Polish. Talk. That means yes.
It's a little Polish.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's survival. Like when I was there, like then I was like in it a lot more. But when I was my first year, I had a translator, and he was translating some things back to the team. I was like, I didn't tell you to tell him that. Like, you know,
I didn't say that.
Yeah, so I got my agent on the phone. I was like, can y'all get me in some classes, you know, or something? And I ended up taking some classes and stuff and learning the language, the basics of it. Got to the train station, got to the grocery store. You know, in practice, I can pick up on the basketball terminology and stuff. When he started going crazy, I was like, I'm lucky I don't understand. Just nod your head and smile, you know. So I had 4 years in Poland, not all back to back, but 4 different years in Poland. 2 years in Spain. I played in Turkey. Also played in Lebanon. But not the Lebanese league. The team, like it was Riyadi, and they have like a real powerful. A lot of people know them for the men's side, but we were playing like in a European league. We were playing in the EWBL, Eastern European. So we got to travel like to Latvia, to Russia, and all these other places. So that was a good experience. And
so you've been around.
Yes, I've been around a little bit, yeah. And that experience overseas, it's different. You know, you learn a lot about yourself. I tell the people, they're like, and people are always saying, hey, you know, I want to go overseas. I was like, man, like it is work. You have a lot of you time. So what do you do with it?
People don't understand. Yeah. You can't be in the gym all day.
You can't, you know, and you really can't. And so you have all that downtime. And then like you say it's 10 or 7 in the morning and you just have this time. And everybody else in America you're used to talking to sleep, you know, and this and that. What are you going to do with your you time? So I was just always trying to make sure I was even like feeding myself. The first couple, like, not just with food, but like information and books and all of that stuff. And the first few years I was fresh out of college, so I'm like Googling like, oh, I'm going to Poznan, Poland. So I get on Google, I was like, best malls in town, you know, like what's the city like, what's the night like?
What's out there.
Yeah, and then when I started becoming more of an old head, I was like, oh, they got this museum, they have this, who am I playing with, what are they like? And so it was an experience, like having to deal with cultural barriers, language barriers, you know, being away from home when you're family oriented, but I adapted. You know, it wasn't always easy, but that experience, it really taught me a lot that school can't, you know, that, you know, here I am 35, I just turned 35 the other day, and now I'm just fresh, you know, into the corporate world and doing all these things, and a lot of people started when they're 23, and I'm like, man, I'm behind, but I'm like, no, I know so much. I've been able to adapt to work with all these people, and you know, and it's given me a lot of confidence, you know, so it was a great experience. It was.
What's your favorite spot?
Oh, man. My favorite people, and this isn't fair to say because I've met so many great people. Like, I've been blessed with that because I indulged into the culture. Like, a lot of Americans, you get overseas and they're like, you know, where are we going tonight? Where are we going tonight? But but I got over there and I was telling the Americans, hey, you want to come with me and my Polish friends here? Hey, you want to do this? Because I just loved it. You know, I loved people and stuff. So it was different for me because I really indulged into the culture, learned as much as I could, still keep great contact with these people, go back and visit and stuff. So it was cool. It was cool. It definitely had its cons, though. You deal with some different coaches, you know, and they push because a lot of times they think us Americans are, and this is fair to say, you know, like you're robots. They bring you in, you know, and they build the team kind of around you. They bring you in and you're supposed to, you know, go get it and bring it, you know, and let you can have 25, 25, 25. Let you just have 5. You know, why did we bring you? And you go here. I'm like, man, this is stress. You know, am I going to lose my job? Get to the second practice. And they're like, hey, how are you? I was like, you just cussed me out this morning. So, it was an experience.
One of my coaches said, yo, it's me or you.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And I didn't say nothing. Like, I didn't say nothing for like 2 weeks. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
How was it with your teammates and such? Like,
we had a great time. When in Italy, like, that's probably my favorite. Yeah. Just because they're just like, their culture is so like warm, welcoming and stuff like that. So like, I loved it. I played in France and I loved France. Like, I like art and stuff like that. So like the Cannes Film Festival is out there. Like a lot of stuff I like out there.
You're in great cities?
Yeah, well I wasn't far from Paris.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like any off time, like I traveled.
Right. Like, so you did it right. Yeah.
I would go to another country and travel. You know what I mean? Like really like by myself. Like I didn't want to wait. Like if somebody didn't want to do what I wanted to do, I would just still go.
Right.
But Italy.
Well, you got lucky. You go to these countries that have such good history with food and with people and warm. You know, I've played in a few countries that are still developing. Even the first time I went to Poland, like I was like, they're not used to seeing black people, you know, and so, you know, and stuff like this.
Yeah,
this is 2009 and 10, and they're staring at you, and you like uncomfortable. But and then the more I learned the language, and more I spoke to the people and everything like this, I realized like they're staring because they're not used to seeing you. You know, there's not in a, you know,
it's not a negative.
Yeah, and after I was there for about 4 years. I saw another person like my color, and I looked, and I'm looking at them too, like I'm, you know, the same way they were looking at me, like, what are you doing here? So I got it or whatever. I got it. That's cool. But I'd sometimes we go and eat.
Okay.
Or a lot of times, and the food's so different in countries like this. You go to Italy, and it's like, you know,
I love the food over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you go to Poland, and they eat different. You know, you're gonna get your and your potatoes, and your chicken, and your salad. You know, and that's it. It's just very. It's just that, you know, and your soup, and then you get these Americans that come like, I don't eat that. I want this, I want that, and I want this, and you can't be picky.
Nah.
You can't be picky, you know, and that's one thing I had learned, and I tell, like, sometimes I mentor a lot of my, I call them like my sisters or whatever that are going overseas, and I try to tell them these things because I learned it late, but I learned it, you know, and just got it. Every time you learn and you get something, you got to give it, you know, and someone needs it, you know, because I needed it at one point. So when I've told them this, they were like, I'm glad you told me because I was already thinking. So
they had this own thing in their head of like what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, for sure. I did.
You?
I was like loving basketball.
Did you think it was gonna be like college?
I thought it was gonna. I didn't know what to think. I know my first year in Austria, I was like, oh, you know, I watched Love and Basketball here with my friends. I did this, and like I'm looking on the other side of the court. Like I don't know. It was way different than I expected.
Okay.
Way different than I expected. I'm thinking I'm gonna know every American on the other team. This is gonna be fun, and I was like, yeah.
Y'all are Americans. Why
yeah,
y'all over
but
there?
I did. Yeah, you go and you talk. I think that's one thing you do say is like it is awkward to go and talk, but when you're over there, like you speak to your people. You know, you speak to your people. You talk. You introduce and stuff. You know, because so many times, like I'd be after the game, like, hey, good game. Where you from? Da 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 da. We talk, and I'm so grateful that we did because the basketball world's so small. So a lot of those people have come back like into my life, you know, whether it be outside, oh, I met you here, and then we share this experience together. Instead of saying, I met you once, but we just kind of, you know, you got to kind of just put it out there.
You do.
Yeah.
I like that. And you're doing that like right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
So, all right, so we're going to kind of change. We're going to flip the script right now. So before we get into everything that's like super serious, we talked about style a little bit yesterday, and I see you got a little style right now.
I'll take a little style.
So what does like style mean to you? So me, like, I'm a big guy, so like I already have like my presence when I go places. But like style to me is like another form of like power. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I put stuff on just because I know like people are gonna say something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about like what is style to you?
Well, for me, like, first of all, it's your own, you know? And I have to say that first because I'm never trying to, like, be compared or this and that. If you've known me, I remember in high school, I had these red Reebok Classics, and they were suede, and I just thought they were, like, the dopest things ever. I wore them with green sweatshirts, gray dress pants. They just stayed, you know, and everybody was always clowning on me, like, them dang red shoes, you know, and so, but I loved them, and I remember them saying, like, I bet you can't go a whole week, you know, with matching, you know, like if you wear them just match, because I didn't like this goes with this, it just vibed, like for me they were related to this shirt or whatever the case may be, but to me, so I was wearing it because it made me feel good, it's what I liked, I wasn't doing it for them, but then I'm also like a people person, so I knew they weren't trying to be malicious by clowning or bullying, so I was like, y'all want me to go a week with matching, okay, I'll do it, and I did it, and I was just like, and they were like, hey, they loved it, they loved everything I wore, and they even were funny and made me an award for matching that whole week, but inside I was like, this is funny, but this is not me. You know, I want to wear those, and I don't want to wear them for you who understands it. Then that's who it's for, and even if it's only me, you know. So, and I've carried that with me for a long time. Like I always keep that close to me because sometimes I'll put something on and I'm like, I feel good. I love this, you know. And I might walk and I could be getting eyes, and they're not necessarily thinking like that's bad. That's I like that. I like that. They can be thinking, but I feel good, you know. So I carry that with me, and it's a form of creativity, like you said. You know, you stick out. It's a part of you, but you do so many other things with like doing this podcast, playing professional basketball, and just, you know, and just being you know, who you are and tall and stuff. And so people are going to notice that, but then give them more. You know, that's why I like style, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear this, but then I'm going to say this, and it's just a part of you. It becomes a part of you. So I'm really, really into, I would say style, but I would say my own, like, no, if you do like it, then I'm like, yay, you know. And if you don't, I'm not offended. I'm not offended, but I do so much, and not just, and since I like it so much, like I one of my favorite things to do is like thrift. Like I'm always thrifting.
That's where you find the best stuff.
The best stuff. And like I'm like, where have I been? And like I was living in Hobbs so long, we had 2 thrift stores. So the first time I went, and I was like, and one, everything in there is 50 cents. So I was like,
wow.
And they had
you can ball out in there.
I bought this Tommy like oversized like coat or whatever. It was so dope. I bought so many like Wrangler things everything. I went balling on it, and I was like, this is lit. I'm coming every weekend. And then I would go every weekend. I realized there's nothing. So that stuff had just been sitting there for years, because the rest of the time I went, there was nothing else there. So it just been sitting there, you know. But that's when I realized, like, it was another thing I realized, is like, you don't have to. It's not about the brand. It's to me, you know, it's not about the brand. It's not about how much. It's just how you put it together, and it's a form of expression. You know, it's another creative side of you. You know,
but most people not comfortable enough to like be themselves.
Yeah,
like, you know?
And it's a part of growth. You know, there's times where I wasn't as comfortable. Like, I need to wear, I'm going here, I need to wear this because, you know, but now, even I told my sister, I was in Costa Rica last week with her, and we went to a Thanksgiving dinner, and I've been traveling a little bit, like, and the more I travel, I realize it's like I'm seeing different tables. I was in New York, and I seen, because I'm a small town girl, and even though I've traveled and played basketball, I've also, like, I'm not out there like that. I'm wearing what's in my suitcase, you know, and I brought this, and we're limited to what we can do. But since I've been back and I've been able to have like my whole closet and all these things, and I just want to wear it, you know, and to my comfort level. So when I was like in New York this summer, I was looking at these tables, and it's like, they look so cool. Like, and they're just comfortable. They're not at this restaurant thinking they have to wear this because they're there. They're just wearing like some dope t-shirts, you know, some Yeezys or something, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, that's cool. And I was like, but that's what I want to be in. And it started just seeing someone else do it and seeing them be comfortable and being themselves. That's kind of how I've been. So when we were in Costa Rica for Thanksgiving dinner, I was like, I'm wearing my Yeezy boots, oversized. And she was like, I'm so proud of you. She was like, you've always been like a little, you know, like quirky when it comes to those things. She was like, I was just sitting at the table, like, just proud of you because you were you know? So if people aren't comfortable, like, it just, sometimes it takes seeing someone else. If I share that side and be like, okay, like, I'll try this with this mentality or from this perspective or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I do. So
you feel
I'm so
sometimes?
glad you say that.
Yeah.
So like I started going back to church. Like, I was raised in the church.
Yeah.
And then, like, for whatever reason, like, I just got away from it.
Right.
And then I started going back, and I thought to myself, okay, like how can I use my presence for other people, right? So if you go to church, like, it's always people, because I used to be somebody that would sit in church, and they ask you to come to the front at the end. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going up there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, just, like, through going to the ladder and, like, having other guys to, like, encourage me, you know, to just be a better version of myself, I'm like, okay, if somebody in here sees me go to the front, maybe they will. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like, maybe they will. So, like, now, like, if something, like, kind of, like, scares me, I just go right to it.
That's so good.
Like, even this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So do you think with the ladder that, for sure, from this, you know, once you gain that confidence or whatever, it just opens up a whole nother door.
Oh, yeah.
Like a whole separate door.
Yeah.
That's been there. You know, that's been there.
Actually
Probably
has.
even already wide open. And
True.
you're just like, you know, so that's cool. But with the ladder, so does it kind of more for young men and stuff like that?
I mean, it's for all ages. Like, most guys are kind of maybe like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I brought one of my friends, and he's probably like 19.
Right.
So it's for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, it's just like a safe place to just really just talk about, like, what's going on in your life and just get it off your chest.
Yeah, around a brotherhood.
Around a brotherhood.
Yeah.
For me, like, I would always, like, write what was going on, but I wouldn't, like, tell nobody.
Right.
Like, I was kind of be in this shell. And then, like, when my dad passed in 2012, I was down there at Tech. I had to start speaking to therapists.
Right.
And I didn't want to.
Right.
I was like, man, like, let me just try to do something different.
Right.
And, like, once I started doing it, like, I realized, like, the more more and more I just shared and let go of,
Right.
like I just started to feel better.
That's that's so good for me to hear too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because I'm always soul searching, and when you go through things, you know, like I really, really try hard to like not go through it, but grow through it. You know, keep one foot after the other.
Oh, that's a
You feel
gem.
me?
Wow.
But it's true.
Okay.
It's true because I had this talk with my friend recently, and I was like, it is so hard. It is so easy to like when something happens to just sit there and when you just sit there, you're getting in a dark spot, you know, and it just clouds around you because life does not stop, you know. Like you had like this year, I've lost my mother, you know, and I'm sure
This year.
Yeah, in early March, and so and that has been tough, you know, especially because she got diagnosed last year in June, and it was. We just finished our family vacation. You know, she's a healthy 54-year-old woman, and we just finished our family vacation. She was a single parent, you know, raised me and my brother and my sister. You know, she didn't play basketball, but she's gone on to teach in South Korea for a year and taught in Africa, did journalism in Africa 2 different years. And, you know, and just she's just an incredible person. And it's funny because she's the youngest, but she's me and my brother's rock. Like we'll call her, can you do this? What do you think about this? Can you pray for us? Can you write? You know, like she's just an incredible person. And so we had each other, which was really, really big. But when we went through that, like I was like so worried because I hear so many things like people go down when something like that happens. So to hear that you go through that, but you open yourself to go talk to a therapist because it's something I'm open to too. I just need to sit down long enough to do so. But life is just happening like that. Like a lot of the things that I'm doing is aligned. It's not like, I'll come here, I'll go there. Like it's really like when you're connected and you're searching, you find it. It ain't like I'm searching. No, it's you don't have to look that way. It comes right to you. Like sometimes you can't even believe it. Like the alignment right now is just unreal, you know? And when you stay connected like that, I was reading from another. I follow this therapist, and she's just always saying these things that I feel like she's just. I'm like, why don't you just email this to me? I know you're talking right
like she's
to me.
reading your mind.
Like I know, And she's like, when you're searching and when you're and you're healing and stuff, even your yeses and your nos are aligned. You know, so I'm like, no, I can't go. No, yes, and that's how it's been for me. But when that happened, I realized this is like I said, you don't go through it, you grow through it. So it's like, yes, it hurts. Like, of course. But some days it's different because when someone with faith, you know, and someone that believes in God and someone that surrounds themselves, because when my mother was battling within those 7 months, that was my primary focus, you know. So friendships you start being when something's that
you kind of cut everybody
off. You don't even do it intentionally. It happens. Like you get on the phone with them, hey, what have you been up to? And they're talking about some stuff that's like when your focus is here and they're talking about them, you know, and I'm like,
stuff that doesn't really matter.
I don't have no space for you. And when I went through all of that, but by the time that we had got to the end, so much dead weight had shedded that I was just at a place where it's new, it's fresh. Even though that is painful, at least I was able to experience it. I was able to love her every day. I was able to do so many things that it's hard to have regrets. We were able to have so many deep talks that I know her last wishes, that I know she's with me, that she's been with me because we've talked about this. She's come to me and God has showed me things and things that I've prayed on. I woke up in the morning, like I was like, okay, last year when Hobbs, I had started a training business, the A-Train.
Saw that.
Yeah, and it was cool. It went really well, actually too well, you know, but it was not too well, but it was going like I had 70 individual clients. I was training the high school boys basketball team. I was training AAU teams, but I was on it, but I'd only had trained like 4 to 8 every day. And then on Sundays, I would do like Sunday Funday, or I just do big groups or whatever. And I was just hustling, but also giving back. It was like I loved it. I loved thinking of drills, this and that. But during the day, it was like time with my mother on chemo days. This is canceled. You know, like I was just there. And so it was tough, but when it got to the end, I was so connected and just aligned. But I was thinking, I went to the national tournament. At the end of that, she had passed, and then like a few weeks later, I was like, I'm gonna go to the NCAA, go support my brother, go be there. I know it's a tough time, and it was beautiful. But when I come, and you know, and I had some people call me like, hey, you know, we know everything happened. We want to invest, get you a gym. We have investors. We're already searching for land. We're already looking for vans. We're already, you know, so many things. And I was thinking, like, this is so exciting. Thank you, God. Because I love kids so much. But then when I had left and I kind of got out of, you know, when you're in a small town, it's hard to think outside of that, you know? Sure. And a lot of times, and this mentality. It's a mentality. But when I got out and I was around, you know, just out and around and free and stuff, I came back into Hobbs, and as soon as I crossed that state line, I was like, I've out, you know, like I'm not, my place isn't
just
here.
Bigger. It's not that you're bigger than that, but like more people have to have access to
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because it's like, it's always going to be like, it's even some stuff that I'm working on now is going to go right back to Hobbs, you know, but it just takes time. Yep. It's not basketball. You don't work, and then you got a big game and you get the results right then and there. Yeah. This is something that I'm really working on, that I'm praying on, and just like work hard in silence, because sometimes, some days, like, oh, okay, we did this, we got this done. Now we got to wait 3 weeks for something else to come back from the government and this, that. But when I realized, like when I got back, like, I just had that feeling, the same feeling that I knew TCU was the school for me. I got that feeling this isn't the place for you. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? You know, because I already got them, like these investors in the gym. We already found land, like blah, blah, blah. What are we going to do? And I prayed. I woke up that morning to an email, you know, that said, hey, you know, and I was like, what? This is a dream. Like, yes, I would love to do, you know, and what I am doing, you know, it's not too much of a secret, but it's not out yet, is I am the face of a nonprofit organization, but it's global. Nice. Yeah, and so it's so cool because I've always been into philanthropy. I've always done camps and given back to however I could, because I know what it's like, one, to have a camp, period. You know, you grew up in a small town and you don't have any of that, you know, and these kids loved it. We brought in DJs. I brought in a lot of, sometimes I bring in Texas Tech. Daryl Dorak came down, helped with the camp. Jordan Murphy came. Ashley Robertson, they all came because they knew what we were trying to do, and these kids loved it, still talk about it, always hit up all my friends, can you autograph something, send it, and just trying to give them things that I didn't have growing up. And now they have it, you know, but I had given, you know, like that was my platform. I'd had a big platform in Hobbs, but now it was time for me to do something else. So with this philanthropy job, like I'll be able to go to Africa, help these kids, do this, and it's just a part of me and something I like to do. And I was like, I didn't even know this was like you get paid for this, you know, but it's not about that. It's like, not about that. Yeah, it's like impact over income, and that's where I'm at right now.
Just dropping gems like left and right.
No, I'm joking, but it comes. It's just where I'm at. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, but it's cool. I'm just trying to stay connected and staying like very conscious in my movements, you know, because it's easy to get to detour. You know, it's easy to detour. So when that happens, like I'm only listening to slow music, because when I moved down here, I'm not even joking. You're from?
I'm from Fort Worth.
Yeah. And so you know, Fort Worth is not like it's slow. It's slow.
Yeah.
It's slow, but. And that's what I realized. I have a lot of me time in Fort Worth. That's where I'm at now. A lot. But I realized like I was spending a lot of time in Dallas. Okay. And so I'm like, my life just felt like a lot of pressure, but it's because the traffic is faster than I'm used to. The music is like dun, 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 and I was like doing a whirlwind. So what I started doing, if I do want to listen to the radio, I'll put on my little 105.7 and, you know, and chill a little bit. Take a different, I'll take a different route, you know, and if I do have to sit in traffic, like listen to some podcasts, you know, or call somebody that I haven't touched base with, you know, and stuff like that. And just trying to adapt and find like my niche here that makes me comfortable. Because when I was trying to keep up, I was like, God, you put me here, like, you know, but he was like, yeah, but you don't have to do it like that. Yeah. Like, so,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Just trying to do everything at once. And you kind of you almost like, I feel like I just fell flat on my face.
Yeah.
Just trying to do everything, like please everybody, like go here, do that. Just everybody's pulling you from every direction.
Right.
But you just can't.
Yeah. So it's really, and it's cool that you do this podcast in order, like, especially for you being an athlete, you know? Because when I talk to you, it's not like, it doesn't even feel like an interview or this and that, because you understand these experiences and stuff like that. So I think it's so important just for anyone watching that's doing something different. You know, it gives them the courage to kind of step out of your, not even comfort zone is what you want to do, but you get comfortable in it, you know? So I like credit to you for that because,
I don't know. Let's say I went to public school, like up until middle school.
Right.
And I went to private school. It was just like a complete culture shock.
In high school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And like, I'll be honest, like I hated it for 4 years until like I left, and then I realized like, okay, like this is why you went through that.
Right.
And I think we all have those moments of like, while we're in something, we just don't understand like what it's doing for us. But when we leave, we understand it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I just want to do a lot of different things. Like,
and why not? Why not?
Like,
you know? Yeah.
I can.
Right. And it's so important. I think like especially after losing my mother, she was amazing. Like I'll say this, like everyone in the community knew her. Really? She was so sweet, you know, and I learned even more about her after she had passed, because so many people had came up and like, one time your mother did this for me. She never said a word. You know, one time, oh man, you don't even know what your mom did. Yeah. Yes. One time your mom put us up, you know, like, cause she was a manager at a hotel, and, you know, and she would, like, your mom put us up and did this or did that, never said anything. And, you know, even big companies that were doing well and stuff like that, your mom knew, like, when we were growing, and couldn't give it all back at that time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, man, she was incredible. She left 6 journals that I didn't even know she journaled. You know, we found, and just so happened to be out, you know, around the time that, you know, everything had happened. And I'd read them, and the way she had talked to God, you know, like, hey, you know, like, you know, rather it was saying like, there's an issue at work, you know, I pray for it to be fair. I pray that people don't come to me and pull me, you know, these things, just the smallest little things. She was always praying for us, and it's changed the way I've talked to God, but also the way she treated people, the things that she did, that was her legacy. That's what people remember. You know, and then also RIP to Dre Emmett, you know, he was a great friend of mine. Great friend of mine. And, And we were tighter in different phases or whatever, but I had seen him even the week before, you know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and we were talking about his foundation and my, you know, what I was doing with mine and how we were going to connect. And I need to put you with this person. And then when he had passed, you know, when that had happened, everyone talking how he just supported, and his legacy of love, you know. And so it's like, we're here, like, thank you, God, we're all here. But leave your legacy here. Like, you leave, like, this is a part of you. So your podcast is a part of you. How you treat people is a part of you. Like, what you wear. Like, man, she would wear this, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Or smile first, you know. Like, man, she always smiled, whether they didn't or not. But that's all a part of your legacy, you know. So that encouraged me, going through that, and then going through this transition of moving, retiring, you know, losing a friend, losing my mother, and just so many things. Like, it encourages me to just keep being yourself, you know. And I know sometimes a lot of people are watching, like not knowing that this is how I'm thinking. They're just, sometimes you can just see a picture and she's like, what is she doing? And I was like, me. That's it. It's just me, yo. Like, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not lost. Like, if anything, like, I feel like I'm more found. I'm just more confident in being exactly who I am. Like, I can't worry, like, this is going to offend someone, you know, or this is going to, like, I just can't. I can, and I credit so many people that are even higher on that pole that just really don't care. And not hurting
it's better
people.
If you don't, like.
I'm not saying like, YOLO, let's go be crazy, but like, hey, I want to do this, or I want to say, you know, like, it's all a part of me, and I'm starting to be okay with a lot of parts of me that I wasn't before.
That's good.
It's exciting, but it's also like, you're good. Yeah, it's cool. I'll leave it at that.
That's cool, man. I journal too.
Yeah?
I have like 5 or 6. I started in high school.
So do you read and then journal, or do you just journal?
I just journal.
Yeah.
I read a lot too, but I just like journal. I kind of want it maybe for like my kids and stuff to like understand me better.
That's awesome.
I don't really share it with. Sometimes I share it with people, but maybe I want to write a book. I don't really know what I want to do with it.
But it's there.
It's there.
You've done it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And it will come into fruition for something. Like, whatever it's supposed to come into, it will. Okay. You know, especially when you're aligned, because I love, like, some of the people that I look to for inspiration. I love, like, strong women. Like, I love, like, the Lauryn Hills, you know, but a lot of time I don't always go back and listen to, I try to find people that, she's...
Okay, I'm frustrated with Lauryn. Okay. Lauryn gave us, what, 2 albums, and then just left for 20 years.
Man,
what's up with that, man? She's like one of the best ever. She is one of the best ever. She is.
But she left enough. You know,
did.
we still listen to what she had. It left an imprint. It left an impact.
Forever.
You know, even like with Tupac, like, with his situation, we still listen to his music, or I do, you know, and stuff, and it still relates. It still relates because there were such conscious people. There's still such conscious people. Like, so even some of the stuff that wasn't an album, the MTV Unplugged, you know, Lauryn Hill is just on there and she's talking. And it's just to everything.
I listen to those.
Yeah, see, and I love that because it's just like, that's where I'm at, the raw, the real, like, you know, because... To go back to my yeses and nos aligned, there's been a whole bunch of things that I've had to say no to that would have been a cool opportunity or this, that, but it's like not where I'm at, you know, and I felt good in saying no to that. So I'm assuming, I don't know Lauren. I wish that I did, but if she makes me feel like I do, because I feel her, you know, because she's so honest and stuff. And so when she says no to an album so she can find herself and so she can grow and she can do this, it may not be as rewarding for us because we want more. We want more. Yeah, we're selfish. Yeah. And I feel you, you know. But then I get her too. Because then I can apply it to my life. She had said something, and she was just playing the guitar, talking. And then she was like, she said something about whatever you say, you know, the things that she says, if the people don't understand it, then it's not meant for them to understand, you know, and God knows how to talk to the hearts of people better than anyone does. Okay. So, you know, so whoever's listening at that time, that's what's meant to be understood, you know, and so I have to think that, like, they may not get this decision. And then I think, forget they, you know, forget they, because you weren't even supporting me. Like, you weren't even doing this when I was here, there, any totem pole. You're just watching. So, and I care so much about people that it's to a fault, because I do care. Like, I had this conversation with my sister last week, and she was saying, like, one thing about you is you're a lot more humble than people think. So when they say do, don't do, switch up, you're connected, you see that. And like, and it's not always saying like, support me. If I do something you don't like, or you're talking about me, I'm not like down on me because I'm confident in me, but I'm just like, what's up? Like, what's wrong with you? Or, you know, that may be the case. And not everyone. Something wrong with them. Yeah. And then I also have to realize that not all, some haters are telling the truth, you know, so I'm like, is that constructive criticism? Some people can hate you in a good way. Like, I'm like, you're a stranger, but you're right on. I need to do this or that. So it does bother me sometimes, but not as much, you know, like I still have my guard protecting like my peace right now, because I'm at a stage that's developing. So if you let too much in, you know, you could detour. So it's crazy, but Lauren, I wouldn't mind her coming back with another album. She's one, she's a strong one. Nice. Yeah. Okay. With what you know now, I have a niece, which is just like, I'm like why? Like, why couldn't my sister have a son? But she had a daughter, and now like I have to grow up, and I realize that like I have a responsibility to like tell her like the truth about life, and kind of just, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'll be honest. How old is she? 5. Yeah. Oh, okay. 5. So a good. Yeah. Age. But I just feel like, as well as like her and other young women growing up in the world, there's a lot of like confusion and things like that. Knowing what you know now, if you could speak to those, and you probably already do. Right. You probably have, but like, what would you say to them? And for me, it's hard, too, because I'm at a phase in my life where I'm in my 30s, growing and developing into who I am. Okay. But then when I have these kids, which I have tons of kids that look up to me, but the thing is, they carry, like, it's a fair trade. You know, they keep me aligned. They keep, you know, they keep me on my toes. You learn so much from them. They're so honest. There's so many things, you know, and so sometimes when I'm showing or I'm putting out there where I am now, it's not for those young kids to relate to. Yeah. You know, and if there's one thing that I could say as far as like where I'm at now and where you are now, it's not the same. Okay. So if you see me feeling more comfortable to just wear this or that, because I feel it's more appropriate for who I am, you know, but that doesn't mean that you can't wear or do or say what you want, but within your age realm, you know, to make sure you're not getting ahead of the game, because once you get up there, it just gets more complicated, you know, it does. I can imagine. Yeah, and so, like, I have a niece as well, and she's Ronald's daughter, and, you know, she spent 5 years overseas traveling with him, and she's just a very special and different kid, you know, and so she's used to the Jumbotron comes on. She's so used to being around, you know, around it all the time, and seeing me and Ronald in the community do a lot of things and stuff, so she's so used to it. So that Jumbotron comes on, she's, you know, shooting and all these things, and so and she's just free, you know, which we absolutely love, because she has the sweetest heart. She takes her parents' phone and sends in a group chat like how much she loves us and all these things, but people outside looking in, they just see like this free, wild child, and I was like, but a great soul and this and that. So it's like, and even my sister raising her 3-year-old son, like I was watching her in Costa Rica, and he speaks to everyone. He's all over the beat. Hi. Well, this one it's all perspective, you know. But he didn't want someone that came to our table to say hello, and he didn't say hello, you know. But he's very conscious and very this and that. He's just very aware, very alert, and didn't say hello. And my sister was like, he doesn't have to right now. I don't want to condition him, but you have to speak, especially when you're understanding, you know, vibes and stuff. So I would think just to allow them the freedom to grow within their age, you know, like the appropriatism and stuff. So I don't know. But it's hard. I mean, I'm not a parent, you know, but I have been a young kid. I have worked with a lot of kids and stuff. But I think you being open and honest and vulnerable and showing these things that we're always just figuring it out. Like no one has it all together. And you can have it together, but it's no such thing as having it all together. No. You're constantly learning. You're constantly like adapting and changing some stuff up, you know, at every age. But I'm like, stay young, kids, as long as possible.
I don't know. I also believe that like, you can only like experience things, like you'll experience things better as you get older. Like things actually get better as you get older. As weirdly as that sounds, that's just what I believe.
Definitely, especially when you're like you'll put yourself out there, you journal, you're connected to yourself and all of these things. So with that, it does make it more fun because you're more, if you have a conversation or vibes, period. You can walk in and you can pick up, or, you know, you can choose where you go. Kids sometimes just got to get in the car and we're going, but you can kind of choose and navigate how you want to through this life. And how you want to, like, as far as what you eat, how you think, you know, your hobbies, your friends, your circle. It is a lot of fun.
It is.
Like, it is a blessing. But for kids, though, it's good to just kind of show them, you know, sides of you and let them see the kids in you, too. Like, there's so many times where I'll play and I'll joke around and I get them, and the parents of the kids that I was working with, they're like, how do you have so much patience? And I was like, I'm not thinking of it as babysitting and this and that. Like, if they're laughing in a line, like, I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, hey, come on, you know, but then sometimes like they're laughing and all I see is them just laughing and they're happy. You know, we're playing music. So I'm like, hold on, I'll go over there. I was like, what are y'all laughing at? And they're like, she likes him. I said, you like it, you know, and this and that. I was like, it's like none of that, you know, and they're laughing and but I didn't have to say it. I was like, get back to work, crazies, or big heads or something like cute like that, and then they come in and they'll tell me their secrets or this and that, and it's cool because you're not always just like do this or do that, or like some of the ways that some of us know, but it's cool to hear your side too, because I didn't go to a private school, I didn't grow up in a city or so many different things, so it's cool.
All right, we got like 5 minutes left.
All right,
so right now you the host.
All right, so
now you got it.
No pressure. No, it's
no pressure.
I would say, not say, but if I had to ask, you know, because here's a time where I'm just always searching. Like, I'm like, if I'm going to take my time to talk to someone, I want to take my time to also listen, you know, to see what I can get from it and stuff. My story's it hasn't changed. I can tell it without talking, you know, and I know it. But when it comes to you, with this podcast, I guess I would ask, like, where would you, because you started it. That's the hardest part. It's sometimes just to even start it. That's what most people tell me. That is the hardest part, and you did it. You know, you did it. You put yourself out there. Hey, so you did it. So now that it's here, you know, and I think that you're doing, like, I was looking at everything. You do a good job of just getting different people, you know. But where would you like to see it? Like, what would you want more of? Maybe like within even a year and stuff.
I mean, the dream to like silly championship is like. You know who Arsenio Hall is?
Of course.
Or like Ellen's. Like, I want my own show. Like that. Like Oprah.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have like I can talk to people.
Yeah.
And just get them to open up.
I could see it.
Like that, so.
Okay. Well, I'll pray on that for sure. And that's one thing I'd like to ask. Like, one of the reasons I'd like to ask is because when we do something like stuff like this, you don't do it for now. And then maybe you do, you know, because sometimes, especially when you're a believer and you're connected to God, and you'd be like, oh, this is my way, this is what I want to do, but he might show you something else. That's true. The fact that you've been doing this for 2 years, you know, and it's growing and going, then it goes to show like it's supposed to be, you know, aligned in your life and stuff. So that's really cool. All right. So let's see, as your host. Okay. So the type of people that you have on the show, do you want it predominantly athlete or what would you like? Just
you're the first athlete.
Yeah. I'm ex-athlete now. That's so weird, but
you're the first professional athlete that's been on here.
Cool.
No, I try to get all different types of perspectives because like I grew up. I grew up with black people. I grew up with white people. I grew up with minorities. I grew up with everybody. So like I just want to give everybody a voice.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. And then when you have these, since you're very in tune and you like to journal and you like, and these things, when you have these podcast sessions, do you take a lot from the people that you...
Oh yeah. I'll go home and listen to this.
Yeah.
And cut it up. Yeah. But I write it down. I keep it for myself.
That's so good. Yeah. And because for me, I'm like, okay, because this is a first time experience for me as far as podcasts go. Yeah. Okay. I listen to them. I like them. If you know me, I love to. I can talk a monkey out of a banana tree. It's not a problem. I can go.
Yo, that's some Hobbs stuff.
I'm country. I really am country. But I'm loving the listening part, the learning part and stuff like that. So to see you do this, this is really, really cool. So we'll say that with your podcast. And then outside of your podcast, who else are you?
Let's see. Okay, so one of my guests, Dre Foster, and I'm a little congested, but he asked me what did you want to be remembered for? Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I was like, okay. Somebody else also asked me what is your identity outside basketball? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's just shameless and just unafraid. Mm-hmm. I was, you don't know this, but I was almost close to just being done with basketball, just because I realized that my purpose is so much bigger than basketball. So I didn't want to prolong this and not be able to start that. But I'm gonna go and continue to play. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I just doing whatever is on my mind at the moment. I believe in manifestation and stuff like that. So good. Even this podcast, a lot of stuff that's happened this past summer, I wrote about it a year or two ago. And now it's it's all starting to happen. That's
so cool to see, yeah.
Yeah, so when stuff happens, something happens that's how did this happen? I don't question it no more. I'm just all right, it's supposed to happen.
Right.
So
I love that.
I'm real family oriented. Yeah. And I just I always do what people don't expect me to do because I went through that phase of people pleasing and trying to make everybody else happy. Even with basketball, I play basketball because I'm tall.
Right.
And I'm athletic.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I never questions what do you want to do? And now I'm doing that. And I'm okay, I'm getting closer to figuring out what my purpose is.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love it too because you're doing it, and while you're busy doing it and being unapologetic about it, and then also balancing your life as an athlete, which can be hard, but it's also so rewarding. But while you're doing this during this time, I think it's important to know that there's always people watching, always people inspired by you. Even I'm inspired. I'm that's so cool because you can do more than once. Even though I'm doing the philanthropy route, I want to do so many other things, but I don't want to spread too thin.
Yeah,
I do want to do basketball. And I do want to do something within the style realm, of that. And I don't know if it's just going to a fashion show, and watching, but I do want to do so. I don't know what it is, but I'm not putting too much energy in, but you're doing a good job of balancing. Yeah. But I was going to say with you doing it the way that you're doing it, especially when you have to be so vocal and get people to open up and you have to open up too, kind of be an open book. It's one thing that I can say is kind of testimonial is whenever I got the job that I have now, I didn't even know, the person that hired me, I didn't even know that they were following me. I didn't even know that they were watching for that. And they had been for years, Even when I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, yes, it's awesome to get rewarded. But for me, if I got rewarded for just basketball, I would have been okay, that's awesome. But we've all gotten, once you're elite, you get awards for basketball. You work for that. That's what you get. So when you get them, you're whoo, I worked for this. Yeah. But when I heard 60% is for what you've done on the court, but the 40% is what you've done after. Yeah. We've been watching you, what you've done in your community here, what you've done back home, and I didn't know they were watching. I didn't know I was being vetted. I'm
people are always
so
watching,
people are always watching. So that's one thing I'd say to the people listening is just know that someone's always watching, no matter if it's for whatever the case it may be, and you're helping someone. So just always put good out, And I feel that's the energy I feel from you. You're just going with it, but and whether it falls on one ear or like I said, or Lauryn Hill said, whoever hears it and understands it at that time, that's who it's meant for. So
and it's I realize sometimes I just have to open people up, sometimes you just some people are so afraid to just talk about what's going on. Yeah, and I'm if I get some kind of synergy about it that you really want to, but you're afraid, I'll just make you do it. I won't make you do it, but
Right.
like I can talk you into it, like
Right.
opening up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's cool too. I was listening to something today. Oh, actually, it was Baylor B. He has
Baylor,
his
Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie. And
Yeah,
he
I know
always
him.
I was listening to his podcast today.
Shark
and
mentality.
Yeah, and he was talking about like if you if you want to get like successful people putting themselves out there, like they like to talk about themselves.
Oh,
He was like,
oh
so
yeah, I
ask them
learned that.
questions.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So just say, let me ask you a question. You might be shy and be like, but once you get them, and you have to weed through it. It's a part of learning and growing. Even sitting on that side of the podcast, it's like, okay, I have to find in there like what their passion is, because not everyone's gonna come out and say like, hey, I love style, and I love basketball, and it was up there. Like, so once you get something and you start, you see that light sparking, and that's just not on the podcast. It's just like with friends, with fam, like you just got to connect to what they're connected to in order to do that. That's cool. Anything else you would like to share on my show?
On your show.
I'm joking. I'm just the host right now, so
you're the host.
You created a monster.
I don't know. I don't really have
that's
any questions
cool.
off the top of my head. Yeah.
I like especially for me, like being it more so in the city and stuff like that, like to have these opportunities where you can get out and talk but also relate. That's one, like, it's hard because if I could stay in Hobbs my entire life, I would, but there's just not the thing. I love it. I even love Fort Worth for the sake that I have my peace and my quiet, like, because I go a lot,
Peace of mind,
but people don't
world.
Understand, like, me and Solitude, like, we're aces, and they don't see that, because it's not for, like, I have this place that I go to, and everyone has to find a place. I would encourage people that are listeners, you go to your journals, but sometimes when you go to your journals, like, you may want to do it at this place or that place. Like, so I always try to go to nature. Like yeah. So I go to my little spot. I'm not even going to tell it.
Don't tell your spot.
Yeah, but I go and it's with nature, and it has like a little waterfall and this and that. And I go
it's peaceful
3 or 4 times a week, and it's just quiet.
Have you been to the water gardens?
I haven't.
How long have you been in Fort Worth?
I only went to the zoo once, and like there's so many things I haven't done.
Okay.
And what I realized too about moving back to Fort Worth is that I knew TCU, but I didn't know Fort Worth.
Okay.
So
it's
like
not much in there. It's literally like a country. It's literally cow town, like how people say. But it's some cool spots.
It is. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. But I come to Dallas too a lot because like I'm at a place where I've been around culture for so much, for so long. Different cultures, not just culture, because I haven't been around. I went to DC 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome. I played a game in that.
I saw it.
Yeah, and it was really awesome, but it was so much culture, so much culture. And I was sitting around like, oh my goodness, look at them dancing, look at them singing. There's so many beautiful black people. Like, this is so awesome, and they're just laughing because they're like, we didn't realize like how much you weren't around culture, And so it's like to see that and. So that's why it's fun to come and sit at this table and just see. I want to see all people do well. Like and all people that know me, it doesn't matter if they're white, Hispanic, this, that. They know that I want to. If they know me, they know the good, Yeah. So to come but also be aligned with someone like our people, they're kind of like making headway and just doing a lot right now. So to see you doing that, and it not only sets an example for all people, but our people too. So that's cool.
Appreciate it.
That's cool. Yeah. Congrats.
Thanks. Well, that's it. This has been Catch You on the Rebound with Adrianne Ross, the boss. I looked at her. Is that what they called you?
Yeah. A-Ross the boss.
A-Ross the boss. We out here, y'all.